1 week away from the spooky one. Oh my goodness, I'm super excited. I actually just ordered a Halloween shirt. So man, oh man, I really hope it gets here for next week's show so I can rock that bad boy.
I know. I'm ordering mine tomorrow, and I'm hoping the same thing. So let's hope. Let's fingers crossed.
Exactly. Or thumbs up. It
Or
doesn't
thumbs
matter.
up.
Either or. But man,
By the way, before we even get started, just let me say this for any of our listeners and or watchers out there that know how to turn this fucking thumb off. Can you please contact me? Please contact us, info@crazyantmedia.com, or reach out to me on social media @crazyantceo. Somebody tell me how to get rid of these damn thumbs up. Like, it's driving me crazy.
It's so funny because it used to be so many other things too, like the balloons and lightning strike.
Oh my gosh.
Now it's just the thumbs.
No, not just the thumbs, but you know.
Yeah, which is kind of awkward when we're doing an Everything Okay episode, the mental health one, and we're getting real deep, and then you're just
thumbs up. But you'll get past it.
Yeah, exactly. We're here for you. Moral support. Moral support. But I'm super excited about this because, I mean, so many good things are happening at Crazy Ant Media, and we just want to deep dive into everything that's happening.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of things have been happening over the strikes. And, you know, we have various projects in multiple stages of development. It's absolutely crazy. So I'm super excited to dive into all of that, reflect a little bit on what we have done in the past and what we will be doing in the future. Yeah, man, it's just super exciting. Like we said earlier, though, be sure to check out our merchandise right now, and be sure to check out Everything's Okay episode 16, where it was all about Sober October, which I'm so happy that we're almost done with. We're like 11 days away. So man, oh man, I'm super pumped about that.
Me too. My wine glass is waiting.
Yeah, exactly. I'm already thinking about.
I just want to put this out there for anybody watching who's following the contest and knows between me and Logan. And Logan, when you see later on, I am not cheating. I am not cheating. Just so when you see the picture, don't even come at me. I am not cheating.
That's so funny. That's so funny. But man, this is going to be a great episode. So let's get into it. Hello, everyone. So you want to start a podcast but have no idea where to start? Well, Crazy Ant Media is here to help you. We want to assist you finding your VFE. What's VFE, you ask? Well, that is your voice, your format, and your equipment. These are the 3 biggest essentials you need to start your podcast. All those hours watching nonstop YouTube videos or all those random website links, those are done. Just hop on a Zoom call with us and we'll talk about everything you need to know to create your own podcast and find your voice. Plus, we will send you home with a 12-page packet over everything we just discussed. It's very in-depth. It is definitely a must-need while trying to start your first podcast. Contact us at info@crazyantmedia.com today so that you can start finding your podcast voice for tomorrow. What's up, guys? You guys know your host with the most for 238 episodes, myself, JLo Fantastic, and the one and only Mouth.
What's up?
Like I teased a little bit earlier, be sure to visit our website, www.crazyantmedia.com, because you can check out all of our merchandise that we have available right there, right now. I believe it's free shipping right now, so be sure to take advantage of that. I definitely did today when ordering a Halloween shirt. But yeah, I'm super excited about it because right after October 31st, we'll be creating some Thanksgiving ones and then leading into the Christmas ones.
Unbelievable.
So be sure to stay tuned for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, be sure to do all the things, do all the stuff. Head over to our website and check out our film, Deadlines. We'll be talking about that bad boy in this episode.
We will be.
And just the experience, where everybody's at now, and what we've been doing in the meantime. It's definitely been quite a journey.
Yes.
But I'm just super excited because, I mean, not only have we been busting our ass doing everything else, but we've been getting a lot of positive feedback from everybody out there listening to the shows, both podcasts, and everybody who's been following us on social media. So we just want to take this time and say thank you to everyone out there who's been supporting us through this journey, through these years. It's been absolutely amazing. And we also want to thank our ITCAF podcast intern, Emily.
Yes.
Saturday, the day this episode is coming out, is her last day as our intern. She is accepting a full-time position. So we're super excited about her next journey. And once an aunt, always an aunt. We've said that multiple times. So if she ever had any questions, we're always there for her. But we just want to acknowledge her and give a little credit, because we wouldn't be able to post so many amazing things on our ITCAF accounts without her over the last couple months. So thank you, Emily.
Yes.
So, but man, as you guys know, we're not only two podcasts that talk about mental health and the entertainment industry, but we are also Crazy Ant Media, a film and television production company that do more than podcasts. Man, oh man, we have so many ideas that we want to get out there. And I mean, starting in 2023, it started in 2022. We've been just talking about expanding, getting into so many different things, like app development. We've been thinking about that, and so many different projects that we have in development that we want to keep bringing to life. Not only are we working on things together, but we're working on things separately as well. Our brand ambassador and brand marketing manager, Delana, has a book out right now that you can check out on, I believe it's either Books A Millions or Barnes and Noble.
Yeah.
And she's rocking and rolling with that. So all of us here at Crazy Ant Media have a lot going on, and I'm super excited to talk about it.
Yeah, man. And this is so how do you move forward? I think the best way to move forward is to look back and see where we were and where we are and where we're going. So this is a great opportunity to just reflect back and say, hey, you remember when? And look at the journey and look how far we've come and how much we're excited about continuing and going forward. And yeah, you might not even realize, and this is a great opportunity. So like Logan said at the top of the show, thank you for all of the loyal people and all the positive feedback and everybody who's been following us for the whole journey and everything. And welcome to all of the new people. So all of our loyal people who have been here all these years are going to get a nice little look back, and really enjoy the story. And they're going to be, I remember that, I remember. But all of you new guys are just going to be able to hear, oh, so that's the story behind it. That's how that happened. That's how this. So this is going to be a whole lot of fun. I mean, I think, like one little trivia thing. Did you know the name wasn't Crazy Ant Media? That wasn't the original name, and there's a reason we changed it. And we'll talk about that. And it's a good reason. I mean, it made sense to change it because, like Logan just teased at the top of the show, we're not just what we were. I'll explain. So I guess we should kind of start off about why we love this industry. I mean, with all the stuff going on, the strikes and the back and forth nastiness of words and everything, I feel like people are getting a negative image of the industry. Like, why would you put up with that? Why do you fight so hard for that? Why don't you just walk away? Well, because the people involved in this industry, they're passionate about it. It's their passion. It's not just their job. It's their passion. It's their life. It's what they love to do. And so that's where I kind of want to start. I want to talk, like, why did we become filmmakers? Why did we get into this industry? What was it that was like, that's what I want to do, And you can go first.
I mean, really for me, I've always known that I wanted to be some sort of entrepreneur, right? Some sort of creativeness. I always leaned more towards music in my earlier days, and I always thought I was going to be a music producer. But there was always that underlying background, I guess, noise, you could say, of filmmaking and movies, because I didn't even realize that it was a little taboo when I was in high school. When I was able to get my license, like, I was going to movies by myself, and people my age were like, what? That doesn't really make a lot of sense to us. I mean, don't you go to movies for the experience of other people? I'm like, yes, you do, but I also go to the movies for, like, storytelling and to be able to see things in a different light and to be able to get different perspectives from different filmmakers. So that's kind of where, I mean, I've leaned in more into it once we met each other at the broadcast journalism TV station. That's where I fell in love with cameras, and that's where I fell in love with storytelling. And it became something to where, like, wow, especially after our first film, Deadlines, it became something to where I was like, the creative aspect in our brains and what we were able to put out there, it does start a conversation. What I was used to seeing before with films that I went and saw, I'm able to do now as a filmmaker.
Yes.
And then still have those type of conversations, even about films that I have personally made or that we have made together. Like, it's one of those things where I feel like the conversation really never stops.
No.
Right. I mean, once you put that creative art out there, those conversations can continue moving forward. You can keep having the same types of conversations, or there's always that one person that comes at it with a different idea or a different mindset that you're like, wow, I never even thought of that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why, we led into it, and how I got into it. It was something that I felt like, I've always been lucky. I will always say that. I've always been lucky. I've always been kind of able to skirt by, especially in school, by the skin of my teeth and be able to do that. But I never really felt like I was good at anything, even though I was decently talented at a lot of things. But I never felt like I was actually good at something. But then when we started doing the podcast, and then when I started taking pictures and shooting video, I started to see the potential of being something great. Being able to flex that creative muscle and to keep learning, because we talk about it all the time on this podcast, how if you feel like you've learned everything in this industry, that's when you're done.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about this industry. It's because there's so many different aspects that you can learn and that you can keep moving forward. Are some greater and I love more than others? Yes. Like, for example, I don't really like producing. That is not my favorite thing. But I love being on set. I love being behind a camera. I love writing. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm coming at it from. It's just one of those things where I feel like, the beauty behind being able to start a conversation with multiple people from multiple backgrounds is definitely something that is special to me, and is definitely something that I love doing every single day. I love getting up in the morning and going through the trades. And it's kind of interesting too, because from the beginning, like with Crazy Ant, the big thing was superhero movies. And I mean, that was definitely something that was always so fascinating to me. And I don't know if it was the change of the times or the change of my personality as a filmmaker or growing more into adulthood, but now I'm more looking forward to the story-driven films like Iron Claw or like Bike Riders. But yeah, I mean, these films get me more excited now than superheroes do, which I think is a beautiful thing, and I think is a testament to falling more in love with the craft every single day. So there's a little bit about, why I got into it and why I'm just so in love with this industry, being able to start conversations with different people of different generations, of different backgrounds. It's something special that I wouldn't want to trade for anything.
Yeah, no, not at all. And it's very funny that you end on what you just said, because it's my beginning.
Exactly.
I knew that I wanted to be a filmmaker. And I didn't even know filmmaker was going to be the term, right? But I knew that this is what I wanted to do when I was 8 years old, and I saw Superman the movie. And the tagline for that movie is, "You'll believe a man can fly." And I saw that movie and legitimately pulled that magic in. That man can fly. This is happening. This is, what am I looking at right now? I want to make magic like that. I want to make people believe in something like that. And what's really good about what you kind of just said is that movie, superhero movie or not, was story driven. It was a story, and it was paralleled to Jesus's story. And so it's a very story driven superhero movie. And But it was everything about it. If you go back, I challenge anybody to go back and watch that initial film, that Superman the movie, and you can even watch Superman 2, the Dawn, because it's basically all one movie. But those special effects and what they were able to pull off in that movie in the 70s is better than what we see with the green screen and digital technology today. Flat out. I'm just going to call it. It's amazing what they were able to do with wires and blankets and camera tricks and lighting to pull off what they pulled off. And so that's when I knew that's what I want to do. So then it was like, okay, well, how now do I do that? Right? And it was years later. It was years later when I finally was like, okay, acting. Maybe acting is how I do it. And so I started doing a little acting. And then my big break, my big thing, because I was focusing, unlike you, I was the producing side of it. I liked producing. So I liked the money aspect of it. I liked the networking. I liked the pitch. I liked everything involved with pulling people together. So I focused on that. I learned accounting. I learned business management. I learned legal, law for contracts. And I because I knew that those would all heavily play into my eventual future. And I would need those things. But the creative side was always there. The kid that was drawing all the superhero logos, the kid that was drawing sketches, the kid that wanted the creative side. That kid still wanted to play. And I got the opportunity to be in a student film, a James Lee Burke film, based on a James Lee Burke book, for the university that I was at. And John Ashton from Beverly Hills Cop was in it, starred in it. And that's where I met a group of people, Andy, Eric, and Thomas, who had a little film company. And after working on that short film project with the university and everything, invited me in. Hey, you want to come be a part of this kind of a thing? It was called Film Arts. And that was the start of being the creative side of it. Oh, you want me to do this? You want me to work on this? And that was it. Then I knew. Now I've got to merge these two things somehow. I love doing this, but I want to do this. And how am I going to? And that's where it really kind of launched for me. And I'll always be grateful for the opportunity of Film Arts and what they did for me to get me into the right path and how to go, And yeah, dude, I'm asked all the time, and much like you, what's your favorite thing about it? What's this, that? It's the connections. And I don't mean networking. I mean the emotional connections that you make with people when you put your art out to the world, because it's a vulnerability. You have to be very vulnerable to put something that you've put everything you have out there, and then hope to God people react to it, right? But it's those connections. Nothing makes me feel happier as a filmmaker, as a creator, than when somebody reacts to my art. And I'm talking about if it makes you cry, if it makes you laugh, if it rekindles an old love affair, if it makes you fall in love for the first time. If you fucking hate it and all you want to do is come at me about what a piece of shit it is, all of that excites me. All of that gets me fired up, because those are connections that you are making with people. You are moving people through your art, through your story, through your picture. And that's what I love so much, is those connections. And it's different. Everything is different because, like you said, everybody looks at it differently. No one person sees the same film or the same picture or the same, photograph. Everybody looks at it differently. And the beauty of art is, once it's out there, it's interpretive. So everybody's interpretation of it is correct. There is no wrong interpretation of art, and including ours, because we're not the same people that we were when we made it. We're different. We're not the same as we were yesterday. We're not going to be the same as we are today, tomorrow. We're different people. We're in different situations. So that art is a snapshot of this is who I was when I put this out to the world. And sometimes even I go back and look at it and think, I wouldn't even like this right now. Or I didn't like it when we did it and I love it now because I'm coming at it as the person I am on that day, not the day that we made it. And that is the beauty of art. And that is why I love what we do, because we get to touch people through our art. And that is like the most incredible feeling when you can move somebody. Now, obviously, you know, I enjoy that I get a reaction if somebody hates it, because that's good. Because for all you young filmmakers out there, or anybody aspiring to be a filmmaker, if everybody loves your art, you did something wrong. Somebody has to hate it, right? Because it's just, that's the world. That's the universe. That's how it works. So if you are getting nothing but love and praise, something fucked up somewhere. But as much as I say that, I do like when somebody comes up and says, because of you, I was able to do this. Because of your movie, I was able to process this. Or I was inspired to go do my own thing. Isn't that the whole point of life? Is if we can do what we love and put that love out into the world and inspire someone else to do what they love, how can you not want to be a filmmaker? How can you not want to be an artist or a creator? So there it is. That's how I got started and why I love what I do. And like you said, I wake up every day just excited to do it. Excited to tell stories. Excited to make connections with people. Excited about it all, man.
What was the first movie you went and saw in the theater by yourself?
By myself, I want to say... And I wasn't really of age, but it wasn't too bad. It wasn't like a rated R movie or anything like that. But I want to say it was E.T. I want to say the first movie that I can remember sitting by myself in was E.T. And
that's fun.
Yeah. I mean, Spielberg, man.
I mean, great one to start out with. But I mean, mine's kind of like that great one to start out with. My first one was Iron Man. So to be able to have the gap, but yeah, I mean, to be able to start out with something, you know, like that. I mean, we talk about all the time on the mental health podcast, how sometimes when you do come up with great things and great things happen to you when you're alone. Like for example, like we talk about this on the mental health podcast where we're exercising. You know, we normally do that by ourselves, but it also starts a creative process to where, like, even on our walks, on our journeys, on our, you know, hikes or workout, whatever we're doing, I'll be able to jot down notes for like certain projects and to be able to put that, you know, in the memory bank and in the notes of my phone and be able to come back to that later. Because I mean, there's so many things that, I mean, shit, like I think it was the second time or the third time that we went out to LA where we literally came up with a concept at a diner and how we learned about the backstory of the diner and how it got started, and to just come up with that so quickly. And then on another trip, we were on a train and we heard like these drunk guys, like
drunk Navy guys,
just having a good old time, and then came up with that concept. So I mean, to be a filmmaker and to play with your imagination so much, I think is something special, because there are adults out there who don't use their imaginations at all.
No.
And I mean, it kind of sucks because, you know, you think about the happiest times as a human being are the majority of the time when you're a child, and that's when you're using your imagination. So to be able to have this creative freedom as an adult and use our imaginations, I think is very special, and it opens up a door to positive mental health. So it's been very great about that. And I remember when we came up with the concept for the Ravens vision, like especially when we're together, we like, if it's something good, we go for hours. Like, we're talking about this thing, we're writing down different aspects, different backstories of people's life, characters' lives. So I mean, that's always been something great. And I mean, you're never going to get it right the first time. That's something else that we want to put out there for filmmakers. You're never going to get it right the first time.
No.
So to be okay with the revisions, to be okay with the creative process of, especially if you're working as a writing team or just a collaborative team in general on a certain concept, you have to be okay with other people's voices being heard in the room. Because I mean, at the end of the day, you're not going to be the only person watching this. So you have to hear it from multiple different people to be able to figure out what's going to work and what's not. So I think that's a beautiful thing too, to just be able to use your imagination, come up with concepts. And, I mean, because think about it. The Ravens vision, we've talked about it before, how it's old school meeting new school, and to be able to help each other's generations in this dire need of the entertainment industry. We've seen that before, right? We've seen that in different iterations of entertainment dramas, like The Last Tycoon and things like that. But we bring a different element to it that hasn't really been seen on screen before. And I think that's the beauty of storytelling and of filmmaking and television, to where, like, yes, you've kind of seen the same concept before, but that familiarity is what brings the people in, and then they see your different aspects, and then that's what hooks them. And that's the beauty of what we do as filmmakers.
Well, yeah, and I've been reading Rick Rubin's book, and he touched on a couple of things that you just touched on right there. It's like when he remembers when the Beach Boys and Wilson heard the Beatles album, and he was so blown away by it, he said, I want to make an album as good as that. Not a competition. Not I've got to be better than them. He was just so in love with that music that he was inspired to make something hopefully as good as that. And then when the Beatles heard the album that he made from that, they were so inspired by his music that they wanted to make something equally as good that could live up to that. And that's where Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Band came from. And so it's not about copying. It's about being inspired by something and trying to make something as good. So, like you said, throughout history, we've seen the story of an old mentor with a young student, and teaching and guiding, and that's a story that's prevalent throughout history in all different types of genres and things, right? But it's how do you tell the story? Where are you telling the story from that makes it different, that makes it your art, that makes it, So, yeah, totally. And then the other thing was the most successful creators are childlike. They have to be. You have to approach it from a children's point of view because, like you said, that is when you're your most innocent. That is when you don't have all the blockage of all the outside interference. You just look at everything happy, and you can have 85 different things going on in a minute and a half because you're just constantly changing. Oh, I want to play with this toy. No, I'm going to play with this toy. Oh, I'm going to draw. And that is how you create magic, because you have to have that wild enthusiasm that you had as a child. And that's the beauty of what we do. You get to be a kid. You get to play. I say all the time, I get to play every day. And I mean that affectionately in the right term of playing like a kid. Because while it's hard work and it takes a lot of talent and a lot of skill, and I'm not trying to say that it doesn't, if you love it, you are playing. You get to play. Remember that feeling you got playing with your favorite toy as a kid? That's what it feels like when you get to do it. And it's amazing. And you know what? You're right. Inspiration comes from the oddest places. Like those crazy drunk sailors, they overheard us and they tried to pitch us ideas. All awful. But then the idea of writing something about that was the idea. And so you don't know where that comes from. You know, it's the most random places ever that stuff like that happens, which is amazing. And yeah, I love just being, you don't know. You might hear a word, you might see a picture, it might be something on the trail, a butterfly that you see, or just something that goes bam, and it hits, and you get that wild enthusiasm, and you're like, pow, and that's the seed. And sometimes you don't even do it then. You just you put it there, and you let it start to foster a little bit, let it start to grow a little bit, and then you come back to it, and then boom, because it might not be the right time. That's the other thing, right? You got to figure it all out. Like, you know, just because it seems awesome at that point doesn't mean it's the right point to do it. You have to kind of know. And I think that's where, so let's talk about how it all kind of, because sometimes the best things happen out of the worst things, right? Because we started this company when I long had given up. I had long walked away. It was over. It was never going to happen. I decided filmmaking was just not my future because I was in a really bad spot in life. But a good situation changed that, and we come together. We meet at the station, and we get involved in other people's stuff that didn't work out, and that's okay, because failure is part of success, right? And so I guess what I'm trying to say is, even at your darkest moments, even in times where you feel like nothing is going right, is very much where the best things happen. And the brightest, most positive things in your life come from that darkness. So don't ever feel like you can't do it. You're at a point, you're in despair, or you're just like, don't ever feel that way, that because you can do it. You can always change. You can always come out of that darkness and do it. And so let's see, the company. The company we were working on other projects, and it was just not going. But we were working on it. And like Logan said at the top of the show, he teased it. This is a very special week because 6 years ago this week, we were asked to go on an internet radio show, that show with those guys, to talk about the film that we were producing with other people. Wasn't our project. Wasn't a Crazy Ant project. Other people's project. Crazy Ant wasn't really Crazy Ant yet. Kind of, but not really. But so we go on there, we discussed it. Should we go on there? Shouldn't we? But okay, I guess it'll be fun to kind of talk or whatever. No intention of ever doing anything on our own like that, right? But it went over so well. The guys asked us if we would like to do a show on their radio network. We were like, what? Well, we're kind of busy working on this film. That's what we were just talking about. Is this a good idea? So we talked about it. Half our people were like, no, we don't have time. This is stupid. We shouldn't do it. How are we ever going to do this? But Logan and I, we talked about it. And I just want to preface, at this point, Logan is just there. Not an owner yet, not running the joint, he's just literally a part of it. Like, he's going to work on the film. That's it, just working on the film. But we talked about it. And like really the first kind of glimpse that I got that he gets it. And he's like, but what a way to get the name out. What a way to get the name out. And so we decided to do it. And this is sort of the birth of Inside the Crazy Ant Farm, you guys. It started off as an internet radio show. And it was awful. It was god awful. But
so bad.
We did it. Let's see. That was in October. So 3.5 months later, we decided this isn't really kind of our jam. We can't work with this format. It's not. Something just didn't feel right. So we broke away from that internet radio, and we said, let's turn this into a podcast. Let's make this a podcast instead of an internet radio show. And we relaunched Inside the Crazy Ant Farm as a podcast. We changed up the format. We started getting a little different with how we approached it. And then, boom, here we are. 6.5 years later, almost 200 guests later, 238 shows later. Holy shit, what a ride. What a ride the podcast has been, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. Obviously, we want to thank all 199 of our guests. But I mean, the main ones, and let me know, jump in if I'm forgetting anybody. But I mean, Keena Ferguson, was the first person who reached out to us and was the first big time actress that was doing it out in Hollywood. I'll say everybody
on a hit show. She was on a big hit show.
Rebecca Kennedy. She, of course, our forever guest. We still have her on to this day. I mean, we had Roger Christensen, that's from Star Wars. He created the lightsaber. So this guy is massive. And
the Millennium Falcon, and our first huge, guys, he's a 2-time Oscar winner. This is a 2-time Academy Award winner. One of the 4 people in the room with George Lucas that created Star Wars. He was in George Lucas, Roger Christensen, and the 2 other guys are the guys who created Star Wars. And oh my God. And we had him on the show.
Very early on.
Very early on.
It's just Rick Traum, your buddy Rick Traum.
Yes.
That we met at a film festival one time and did a panel with him, and that was amazing.
Our second Emmy winner. He is an Emmy winner. Johnny Carson, Saturday Night Live, all these massively important, huge shows that this man produced on and won the Emmys for. And I'm just like, what? So we had an Academy Award winner and followed up with an Emmy winner, and we're just like, whoa. What's going on here, right? It was just
we were under 50 episodes.
Yes.
That was the big thing. We hadn't even reached 50 episodes yet. And then I mean, I would say our first major, very big publicized person who we had on the show was Ed Asner. I mean, I don't believe as a household name, I guess you could
household name, yeah.
So I mean, that was huge. I mean, of course, like we said, all of our guests are absolutely amazing. Wouldn't trade them for the world. But those 5, those are the ones that definitely pop out to me as the helping of launching ITCAF podcast Inside the Crazy Ant Farm. Because I mean, since then we've been able to land huge guests because we've had their name a part of our catalog. So I mean, it's crazy. And like you said, it was awful. At the very beginning, our guests, we were doing very structured questions, and then even after we got past that point, you were basically the only one talking.
Oh my gosh, If you go back, there's a reason why the nickname The Mouth started, right? Because it was The Mouth, because I was literally nobody would talk, and they would start to open up during the industry news and everything. They would give their opinions or whatever, and then we would get to the guest segment and they froze. They would not say and I was the only one. It was so funny.
Do you remember when we actually used to record the whole show in one day? So we would try to knock out the industry news and then literally do the guest segment right after the industry news. And
they would call in.
That was so wild. I mean, I remember I was so scared of switching over to Zoom because we would share certain faces when people would say certain things, or if some interviews were dragging, we would be okay, but then switching to Zoom, it worked out in our favor. So I'm glad we finally did it. But that's what I'm talking about, getting out of the comfort zone and taking risks. But
I can't even imagine, my man. I cannot even imagine if we were Zooming the Ed Asner. You guys don't even understand. You go and you listen to that interview, and it's fantastic. It's amazing, and it's a wonderful interview. But he was having a lot of fun with us. He was having a lot of fun, and he terrified everybody. And the second that he came on and said something just like very gruff and very terrifying, everybody's faces, they all pointed at me like, that's you. Yeah. That we're not touching this one. You go.
He had like that old man humor that really not a lot of people understood unless you were like, you know, of a certain generation. And we were like, what? And like we were very confused because he started it off with, how much you gonna pay me for this? We were like, what? Like it was wild, man.
But man, what an incredible thing to say though, because that's when he was kind of like, and I hate to say this, but it's true, kind of wrapping it up. It was like one of the very last interviews he did, because he basically real soon after that kind of stopped doing interviews. You saw him pop up on Cobra Kai, or you saw him pop up here or there in just a couple little things, but he really wasn't doing anything anymore. So we were very fortunate to get one of the last full interviews with him, you know, prior to his death. And oh my gosh, to just like, I say it all the time, but I've been fortunate enough into my life, and I would have never even, as a kid, even imagined that you're talking about Lou Grant and Mary Tyler Moore from the Mary Tyler Moore Show. And I had the unbelievable pleasure of speaking and having a conversation and talking to both of them and actually getting to know Mary Tyler Moore. I'm like, what the fuck is happening in my life right now? I know Mary Tyler Moore, and I am talking to Mary Tyler Moore and fucking Ed Asner. What? Like, it was amazing. But, you know, I want to go back to Kina for a minute, because when we first did it, the guests that we were doing were our own actors from the project that we were working on. And the show was awful. It just was not good. So for somebody that's established in Hollywood, someone that was on a hit show, she was on Atlanta, and it was booming at that time. It was huge at that time. For her to reach out to us and say that she had listened to the show and would like to be a guest, and for her to do that when the show was fucking awful.
Like, are you sure? Are you sure?
That's the first thing we said before we even got back to her and said, yes, we'd love to have you on. We were all like, what? Does she have the right show? Did she accidentally contact the wrong show? Like, but that changed everything. That kind of allowed us to go, well, maybe we can reach out to publicists. Maybe we can start to get these type guests, and not just the people we know, the actors that we're working with. Maybe we can start to get those. And so I just really, really want to thank her for that, because that was the big shifting point. And then, like you said, Rebecca, right after that, same thing. Rebecca was a fan of the show and wanted to come on, and it was just. And now, guys, we hardly ever even have to reach out to book people. They all want to come on the show. They all reach out to us to get on the show. And we've just established an amazing relationship. I want to give props to a lot of the people, but we've been able to establish amazing relationships with so many unbelievable publicists and managers in the industry that we are so grateful for and so thankful for, that have allowed us to do what we do, and have these things happen, and allow us to start building out our network and allow us to start doing what we've been doing. And so I just want to, Charles Sherman especially, because like you said, I think really the big first household name was Ed Asner, and Charles Sherman is his publicist, and then he gave us Eric Braden, Victor fucking Newman. What the fuck? Like, just hello. Amazing. I forgot all about him. Old Eric Braden. But yeah,
I think there's this one thing that we wanted to seem, we're first starting out. We want to seem very professional. We want to seem bigger than we are, right? So I created this fake email account that I used to reach out to publicists with.
Ben.
Yeah, my name was Ben Wright. And if you guys are original listeners to the show or original followers to our social media, we had an account named Ben Wright. And that was just me. I was reaching out as like a an assistant to our podcast and trying to book people.
Yeah,
That
Ben
was so
Ben Wright was
funny.
our booking agent. He was the one
Yeah.
reaching out to publicists.
It's so funny. And it's like, it's one of those things, you know, like we've talked to multiple people where they put things on their resume and they're like, well, I'm going to learn while I'm on set, or like, you know, one of those things. And
Yeah.
being able to finally say that publicly, I think is hilarious.
Oh my gosh, it's fucking
remember the amount
hysterical.
of people who would like, they would answer, like, because we would do it over phone, and they would answer the phone and be like, hi, is this Ben? We're like, nope.
Nope. Yeah. Maybe? No, maybe it's
Yeah,
Ben.
but, no, it's
Define
not
Ben.
Yeah, that was so funny.
There's been so many special moments, and we want to go from the podcast into all the movies and the stuff that,
Of
because
course,
we're
of
filmmakers
course.
and everything. But there's just a couple more things I want to say about the podcast, because it has been so amazingly wonderful. And you made me think about this, because we talk about, we want to be very professional, right? We want to have fun, but this is a professional, and we take our name seriously, and we take, a kind of thing. But if you could have been in the room with all of us when we got the notification that we landed William Daniels, we looked like a bunch of kindergartners who found out they were getting snack time or something. We couldn't contain ourselves. We were jumping up and down, high-fiving each other, just like Mr. fucking Feeney. And for me, Knight Rider. It's like, holy shit, we just landed Knight Rider and Mr. Feeney. Holy shit. It was so amazing. The moments like that, when it's somebody that was so significant to your childhood, and now you're going to be able to talk to them. And that was just so amazingly gratifying. And the first time that we had ever landed a child actor, the sense of appreciation that we had, that they trusted us to be able to do this, because we didn't have really a huge track record at that point. We had never done a child actor before, but we were gracious enough to reach out and ask, and they were gracious enough they said, okay, we've got a series of questions for you. We have some stipulations for you. Can we do boom, boom? And then we got Akira Akbar from Captain Marvel, who's gone on to just massive stardom now. Like she's just amazing, and a grown-ass woman. Holy shit. But when we
She's
got
in
her,
Bel Air now, yeah.
Yeah. Just a child. Just and that was amazing. That was one of those breakthrough moments where, like, we can do anything. We can talk to anybody and make this work. Which was just so amazingly cool. And then I think our big moment, and this will be the nice transition to the film stuff. Our big moment through the podcast is when we had J.S. Mayak and Spencer Garrett, and then inevitably a whole bunch of other people, but come on to the show to promote their scripted podcast, America 2.0. They had, like, huge stars in that thing. Shanola Hampton and Patrick J. Adams and like Jack Coleman and Lawrence Fishburne and like all these amazingly huge people in this project. And we were fortunate enough to get JS, one of the creators, to come on, and then he had Spencer Garrett come on, who was a producer on the project and one of the stars in it. And the interview was awesome. We had a really fun time. But then Spencer graciously said, why don't you come on out to LA? Be a part. We're doing this big red carpet event. It's going to be awesome. We're going to have an open bar. It's going to be catered. You'll get to be on the red carpet. Come meet all the stars. And we're like, what? Seriously? Like, you're inviting us out to LA to be on a red carpet with all these famous people and like do all these kind of. That was the moment. And that's when I think it launched the podcast into the next stratosphere, because people saw us in LA. People saw our selfies with Shanola Hampton and with like all these huge stars, and we're on the red carpet, and we're like, and that just kind of, it took it to the next level. I think really after that point is when we really started getting, now we don't have to call people. Now they're calling us. And that we'll be forever grateful for JS and Spencer and Jeremy Gordon and just everybody involved with that. I think that was the catapult that took us to that next level. You don't understand, when you're seen on a red carpet, you know you've arrived. People know you've arrived. So, yeah, I wanted to give credit where credit was due, because I feel like that was the big breakthrough point with not only the show, but then the transition into, well, shit, these guys are filmmakers, because they asked us. They took the time to ask us about who we were and what we were doing and explain the logo. It's such a cool logo. What does that mean, kind of a thing. And it was really the first time that we had put out there who we were and that we were filmmakers and why we were doing what we were doing. And what's the significance of our logo? Why does it look like that? So yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing, kind of a transition thing. Yeah. So
it was definitely like one of the highlights of the company, right? And I mean, especially with all of us being there, making memories, like Emily getting cheesecake on Spencer's jacket. But, you know, it's fine. I still give her shit to this day for that.
Oh my gosh, it's so good.
But and the great part, he was so gracious and so
he was
nice.
Very,
and this man is like Hollywood royalty, and we're like, oh my god. But yeah, like it's always an amazing journey, right? Because we never, like, we started off producing other people's projects, like we've been talking about. There was 3 projects that we were developing and producing with writers who we were trying to help get off the ground, right? And, you know, all the original people who've been listening to the podcast and been following us, I mean, you've seen our journey. You've seen how long we've put in the effort. But then there comes a certain point in time where you're like, okay, who's in it for the right reasons,
right?
You know, or who's taking this seriously? And not that they didn't take it seriously, but other priorities get in the way, and there's nothing wrong with that. But us who are trying to do this full time, this is our dream, this is our passion. We have to make this happen. So the Ravens vision, who I'm sure everybody knows about by now, because this is our longest running project here at Crazy.
Oh, without doubt.
And I'm sure we've said this too, that it is loosely based on us. And it's something that, you know, they always say, especially for beginning writers, be sure to write what you know. Right. And I mean, what's better than writing what you know than writing a story loosely based on ourselves? So that's been an amazing process, especially being as far in as we are now, you know, with the amount of revisions that we've made. I mean, there's countless revisions that we have, at least of the pilot.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, the where we're at now, it's probably the most comfortable I feel with our characters and where our story is going. Especially when we first started writing it was in the middle of the Me Too movement. So a lot of our concept had to do with the Me Too movement. So to be able to navigate that and transition into, okay, current topics are important, but it can't be the main source of the project, right? It can be sprinkled in there, but it has to be our own. It has to be something that we see the industry shifting towards, because if you listen to the podcast, we're really good about projecting the entertainment industry or predicting the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
So being able to navigate our own projects like that, you know, to be able to create something that's more special and that gives our characters more depth, honestly, because like I'm speaking for my characters, specifically the ones that I've been writing and that I've been focusing on the majority of the time. They were 1.5 dimensional. I don't want to say they were just one dimensional, but they were 1.5 dimensional.
Right.
And they didn't really have a lot of layers to them. So to be able to take a crack at giving them more personality, making them more human. And we give a lot of credit to, and not a lot of people know about this, but professional readers, script readers, and they will give you insight on how to change things. You can take their advice and tweak it a little bit to make it your own. And I think that's what's really been helping us with the Ravens vision, is being able to have industry professionals read our project and being able to be like, I like that, but let me see what I can do with that. Being able to shift and move it the way we have. And, I think with all of our characters, it's been an amazing ride to basically grow up with them as creatives, right? We've seen them come as just a thought process, and now we see them as full people.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird. That's where the imagination comes in and being able to play, like you said. So that's been a lot of fun.
Well, and I think that, first of all, I just want to say that we're first-time writers. Yeah. This is our very first crack at writing a television series. Have never done it. Had never even thought. We had to learn how to format it. We had to learn how it all goes together, how to do the timing, how to do, So, but we decided we were going to take a crack at it. And I think that, like what you were saying, I think initially because it's based on us, we intentionally tried to not put too much of ourselves into it. Write about you what you know, but don't write too much about you. And I think that was the mistake at first. The characters really started to become three-dimensional, really started to get connectable, where you could relate to them. And when we did start to put more of our actual selves into the characters and into the story, because that's what the story is about. And so while fictionalized, it's still taking from our own experiences and putting it into those characters. And I think that's where it really started to turn around and go, oh, okay, so we can write fiction, but we can interject reality and kind of and that's where I think you really started to see the birth of these characters and really start to see them come alive. And just briefly, the logo, because we get asked about our company logo all the time, and it plays into the Raven's vision, and it plays into Logan and I. So it's not only Crazy Ant, but it's also the background of the Raven's vision also. If you look very carefully, if you're watching YouTube and you can see the logo, okay, first of all, credit where credit is due. It was created by one of our ants, always an ant. Once an ant, always an ant. Tavia Marinovich, just an outstanding, brilliant graphic designer. And what I basically said to her is, I have this idea for a name, and everybody thought the name was insane. They're like, what does that even have to do with movies or TV or whatever? The name is stupid. It'll never work. But I wanted that name anyway. So I said, this is the name we're going with. And I went to her and I said, okay, I want to call it Crazy Ant, and crazy ants are yellow. So I want you to do yellow, right? I don't care what other color schemes you use, but it has to be yellow because crazy ants are yellow. And I said, and I want it to represent old school film and new school digital and streaming, because this is where we're at. And that represents me and Logan. It represents the industry of where the industry is transitioning to. And so I wanted to make that important because that's who our company is, that's who we are, and that's who the industry is now. And she came back with this design. If you guys look really closely, the eyes on the ant are an old school film reel and the digital lens. And it represents the old school, new school merging of the two. And how do they work together? And that's where the logo came from. So anybody who's wondering, where's that logo come from? That's really cool. How did that happen? That's what the meaning behind the logo is. And then Bonk, obviously, is just an animated version of our logo. And Bonk, everybody loves Bonk. Bonk, short for bonkers, because he's a crazy ant. And we have a great animation project in the works for that. Just, oh my gosh, you guys don't even know. But back to, and like what you said about the script coverage and professional readers, we've also had the benefit of knowing and being able to reach out to and get advice from, be it either just reaching out and having a conversation with them or an interview through the podcast or whatever. Professional writers, huge time, big writer, Danny Strong and Carol Barbie and JS, and people who have actually done this and won awards for it, have huge hit shows, to be able to get their, hey, this is how you should do it. This is what you shouldn't do. This is kind of, to have that amazing. So to be able to fall back on that and go, hey, you remember when Carol said this? Or you remember when Danny said that? That in conjunction with the professional script readers, that's amazing. It's amazing to be able to, and it goes all the way back to what we were talking about earlier, about being able to take the critique, hear the other people in the room, because it's so critically important. You get so attached and you're so tunnel visioned that you don't see the things that you're missing until somebody says it. So it's so critically important, and I love that. And the Ravens vision, and while we're working on the Ravens vision, while we're writing this, while we're doing this, we get pitched this script. Somebody, like, we come across it, we reach out, the guy pitches it to us basically. We said, hey, we're interested in this thing. And then he shoots back an email basically pitching it and saying, this is what I thought, but go ahead and you can do it. Just take it, do whatever you want. And that is deadlines, you guys. And if you follow us, if you've been a longtime follower, and if not, welcome to the story. It started off as something just wildly different. It was your basic male, female, military, batshit crazy guy that goes and shoots up a campus. And we're like, that's been done over and over and over and over. But there was something about the story that we could see that had potential. There was something there, but it wasn't right. And we didn't know it yet. We auditioned male and females. We were going with the whole male-female thing. We were trying to go with it. But I don't know, was it for you the same way it was for me? It was just something about, and we found incredible people. They nailed it, but something wasn't clicking. For me, it was that. When we were seeing it come to life, and as great as these actors were, something just didn't feel right. That's when I knew something had to change. Was that like the same for you?
Yeah, I think it first started to transition into, being an interracial couple, and how the divide at this point in time, because it was right after the murder of George Floyd and all of the Asian hate that was happening. We were trying to focus on the racial divide more than anything else.
And still kept it man and woman at that point.
Yeah, we were focusing more like that because we had some amazing reads with some great actors who we're still friends with this day and still have, want to work with them and want to attach them to projects. But it's like there was just something else. We were in a time where there was a lot of hate, and we wanted to address that specifically, not just racially, but also when it comes to love, because there was a lot of hate when it came to judging other people for who they loved. So we wanted to switch it up. And that's when we had the idea of changing it to a lesbian relationship, because we know in our hearts, and we personally believe, it doesn't matter what color you are, what gender you are, how you identify. If you love somebody, you love somebody. That's right. All that matters. And it doesn't matter my opinion about your relationship or your opinion about my relationship, because that is your life. But we felt like that would be a great story to tell, just not just so everybody is represented, but so that people can see themselves. Because a lot of times you see, and there's not, we always say the best person for the job should get the role. And there's never that's our full beliefs. But I also feel like, when heterosexual people get cast in a gay or lesbian relationship, sometimes things feel a little off, right? Not all the time, but sometimes things feel a little off. But we wanted to have that be as authentic as possible, and we wanted to have them be as authentic as possible. So to have our actresses, be as open to the possibility of them being a lesbian couple, when in fact both of them are straight. So they did an amazing job. But for everybody to see themselves in this type of situation, right? To show that this could be a real couple. I think that was most important for us, and not just to follow a narrative, but to create our own narrative. I think that was something that was also very important for us. And I mean, we have to just say, I mean, Jessica and Kara, I mean, they knocked it completely out of the park. It was insane.
Unreal. And so a little in behind the scenes stuff about the process. We were so adamant about making it authentic.
Yeah.
Knowing that they were straight. But so how do you take straight but make it authentic? So a little behind the scenes for you guys. We had them meet up. And we used the opportunity to take some publicity stills, But now this is the first time, keep in mind, this is the first time that Kara and Jessica had ever met. They have never met. They hadn't talked on the phone. They hadn't Zoomed. This is the first time meeting. And so we had them walk around a college campus in a small little town as a couple. As two lovers, as two people who are in a relationship, happy and in love. And these two women, these two incredible women who had never met each other before in their lives, had everybody in that town convinced that they were an actual couple. It was unreal. The chemistry, immediate chemistry, how they were. I mean, if you see some of the pictures, and they're used in the movie. These pictures are used in the movie. If you look carefully, you can see them. But the affection that you see them have when they're laying in the hammock together, or they're giggling on the football field, or what, you would swear these two had been in love for a decade. And so we knew we had that authenticity there. We knew these were the right people to do this, to tell this story. And the other thing that was critically important, we talked about the racism, and obviously we address gun violence, and because, as we said, it's a shoot 'em up type thing or whatever. But we also wanted to make clear that when you get to the point where you are shooting people and or taking your own life, something is not right here. And so we knew we also had to tell that story. We knew that we also had to show that this beautiful and loved couple, something went wrong. One of them retreated and started to be, if you guys pay really close attention to the movie, you see the pictures. They're very bright colors. They're very in love. They're very happy. And then one's wearing black. And her hair is greasy because she hasn't showered. She doesn't clean anymore. Her dorm room's a fucking mess. Those are warning signs that people so often miss. How does this person go from wearing bright colored sundresses and looking lovely to unkempt, dirty, greasy person that doesn't take care of themselves? Where is somebody coming in and saying, what's wrong? How can I help you? So it was important for us to tell that side of the story too. What got her to this point that she wanted to take her own life and or shoot the people that were bullying her? So we addressed that, and it was an amazing process. We found the most amazing crew, all of whom worked for free. Not our actors. We paid our actors like scale, SAG. But these people were passionate about what let's go back to the top of the show and that word passion and why we love what we do. That was them, our entire crew. Passion for what they do, to tell the story, to get it done. And we knew we had the right people. And I give a full credit because Logan is the one who kind of organized the crew. He was searching for the crew. But we knew we had the right people, not through the interview process, not through the resumes, not through whatever. We knew we had the right people when we showed up on set at the location. None of these people had ever met, talked, known each other. First thing they do is all walk up, grab equipment, and start heading up the stairs as a team to start getting it all done. Then the introductions were coming. Like, hey, I'm such and such, I'm such a... But the passion to just go, before I say a fucking word, I'm picking up the gear and I'm heading up and we're going to start setting up. As if they had worked together for years prior. And that kind of special magic, when you get that, you know you're going to have a really good project. And we have an amazing project. If you haven't seen the film, we had a few people hate it just because they don't like the subject matter. They don't like what we're talking about. We don't like the conversation that we started with it. And that's okay. We're fine with that. You be you. We want you to hate it. Because, like I said, if everybody loves it, we're not doing it right, right? But, whew, what a ride that film was. And then, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was amazing. Because we recorded a podcast episode basically right after it. So if you guys go back and scroll through our catalog, like we identify each and every person who is attached to it. And we talk about the whole process, how it was on set. But I mean, that was our proof of concept as Crazy Ant Media, to finally put something out there after 3 years, it felt like, working on other people's stuff, and to be able to finally put our heads together and our creative vision and be able to direct it and put that out there. It was an amazing thing. And like you said, I mean, things were very smooth sailing on set. I mean, did the roof literally cave in from water? Yes, it did.
It literally did. But we had a set mama that took that shit and ran with it. She's like, you got shit to do. I will take care of this. Oh my God.
But it was an amazing time. Like and the crew was amazing. Like the actors were amazing. The food was amazing. Shout out to Angelo and Jimmy John's. It was something that I'll never forget. We talk about it all the time, how we didn't want to leave, but it's something that we keep chasing. And that's what you keep moving forward with as filmmakers and as creators, to keep moving forward, to keep chasing that feeling. And I think that's something that will always be a thing.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because there's 3 very specific things with that film. There we go. Hey, we were wondering if it was only going to be the thumbs up, but but this was a celebration. I'm kind of glad the balloons popped up right there, because what you just said, one of the things that I will always carry as a very important memory from that film for me is, I remember the whole time leading up to it, I kept telling you, I kept saying to you, there's no feeling like it in the world being on set. And you can't know it until you do it, until you feel it, until you have it. And you just kept, yeah. And so that last day, when we're completely wrapped, all the equipment's gone, the actors are gone, the crew is gone, and it's just me and you, and you're sitting in that room, and you don't want to leave. And Jason, and you don't want to leave. And you don't want to leave. And you say, I don't want to leave. I don't want it to end. I'm going to carry that with me forever, because that was the moment that you got it. Oh, that's what you were talking about. And I was, yes, now you get it. And then, like you said, you chase that from that point on. That feeling, that magic, that love. Like, that's what you keep chasing. And that's what makes it all worth it. The other moment, when you flipped the narrative, we released our film, the red carpet premiere of this film, on a day that had been the worst day of my life every year since my little brother passed away. It was a day where I would lock myself in a room and not talk to anybody. I would be miserable. I was depressed, and I fucking hated this day every year since he passed. And Logan said, why does it have to be that way? Why don't we flip the narrative? Would he want you locked in your room, crying, being miserable, hating life? Or would he want you to be living your life? You made this film, you accomplished your dream, everything is going well for you. Would he want you to do that? Why don't we flip that narrative? Why don't we premiere it on that day? Let's take this from a bad memory and a bad day to a great day. And so that's exactly what we did. And now that day is forever associated. And I don't set aside the loss of that day of my little brother. I don't put and act like that didn't happen anymore. But I can now associate that day with something great and link it not only to Logan and all of the people involved in the making of that film, but I can also say, there you go, Joe. There's what you would want. And so that. And then one final thing. When we did it, when we had this red carpet premiere, this was the first moment, because like Logan said, this was the first thing that was ours, not somebody else's. This was our vision, our platform to say, this is who we are. This is who we are as filmmakers. This is who our company is. And first time putting it out into the world. It's like, what's going to happen? It's terrifying. It's a terrifying moment. So it's up on the big screen. It's a packed theater. And the credits roll. And the screen goes black. Thing's over. And there's silence for a couple seconds. And then the elation of a round of applause and the cheers. I don't think I can ever in words describe that moment when you know that your art, your story, your passion just changed people. It just went out into the world and people loved it and connected to it, and you moved people with something that came from inside you. It's the first moment, because it's our first baby. It's our first thing we've ever put out there. And it was a terrifying moment, because when that silence hit, I turned to Logan and I said, they fucking hate it. They must have hated it. Why is nobody speaking? And then boom. And I don't know. You could talk about it too, but that moment for me was just like, I felt like I was that 8-year-old kid who was now the man that could fly. I felt like I came off the ground and I was levitating. I was just floating. I was so happy that happened. I can't even describe how it was.
Yeah, it was pretty funny because, like, I don't know if you remember, because we were playing it off the HDMI cord and a laptop. So, like, I was actually up in the booth trying to get it to stop when I was running back down and hearing people clap. So you must have been in your own head, because I was not there for that moment of silence. I was running back and forth. But yeah, I mean, for me, like, it was a sense of, oh, you did something right. It's like, oh shit, I'm about to walk back into something that is great, and that did start a conversation. We had a nice Q&A afterwards, we stood up in front of everybody and like literally took a bow. We also did this very special thing too, where everyone who came to support us for the premiere, they all came up front where the screen said deadlines, and we all took a big picture. That was really special.
I cannot wait to get that thing blown up and have that hanging in our studio. Right. That's going to be the first thing that people see when they walk into our studio, because that's our first thing, our first Crazy Ant production that was out there for the world. And what an amazing time to have all those people there and be a part of that special. That film would not have happened without the majority of those people. And just to have that moment was, it was amazing. And the friendships, we're friends with all of them. And Jessica has become just such an amazing friend, and just it's a moment I can't ever forget. It was just amazing.
It was an amazing night, and some amazing people were there. But I mean, it's just a testament to what we're able to do and what we continue to be able to do, especially after all these strikes are over, because I know you're writing on your project, I'm writing on my project, and to where we're both stepping out of our comfort zones, because you're writing about a woman and her relationship with her husband who passed away, who was really respected, and I'm writing about a family in the 1950s. So I feel like we're comfortable in our projects where we're writing about stuff we know, but now we're starting to expand, right? We're starting to get a little bit more creative, to where we are feeling like we're able to do research and step away from writing what you know, and let's get a little creative now, you know. So I mean,
and these are big projects. These are big. These are feature length films, right? Like I can't wait to direct them together because it's going to be amazing. Because for us to direct something that you wrote and for us to direct something that I wrote and be able to collaborate on the vision of it, that's going to be amazing, right? That's going to be so cool. But then also the comfortability. Because like we knew we needed another project. As soon as the strike is over, we're coming at you. We're coming out with our next thing. And we knew we needed something very quickly for that. We knew we needed something. So now we're at a comfort level where I'm like, fuck, let's just knock out a script. And we knocked out another short script. Like it's a great comedy. It's so far removed from deadlines, it's not even close. You know, but now we're at that level where we're first time writers, but not anymore, because now we're writing all kinds of things, and we can actually now where we would sit down and we would just stare and not know what the fuck to do. Now we're just like we get in front of. Oh, here's a script. What do you think? You know, that's an amazing feeling too. The progression of coming into who we are and feeling comfortable enough to go. And then that first draft was like, what do you think about this? Yeah. Let's change that. Let's change. And so, but to be able to just sit down and that's amazing. It's an amazing feeling. Because when we first sat down with the Ravens vision, we were like,
fuck yeah.
What? How do you format this? What dialogue? What? You know, so now it's just, and guys, we have so many great things. We've got those 2 feature-length films. We've got the short comedy. We've got the animated series, right, which is going to be an animated comedy, which is going to be freaking amazing. So let's talk about why it changed to media. We used to be called Crazy Ant Films, guys. And that's because films, right? We're a film company. We're a film production company. But at a certain point, and I guess after the success of the podcast and Logan's love for music and my love for art and different we knew, well, fuck, bigger than the mouse. Our goal is to be the bigger than the mouse. And that means more than just film. We knew we were going to be film. And we were going to be television, and we were going to be animation, and we were going to be music, and now we're going to be talent representation, and all of these things. And so we needed that name changed. Like, we don't want to be tagged as just films. So we're media. We decided to rebrand as media because we knew we're coming at it from all different aspects. Hence the name change. If you were an OG, they're like, wait a minute, they used to be films, you know, like, but that's why, for all the new people out there, that's why the shift. If you go back and listen to old stuff, you'll see that we refer to ourselves as the film guys, the Crazy Ant Film guys. But that's why it changed, because we've expanded and we're just getting into so much more stuff. We've, like Logan said at the very top of the show, we've got 3 films, the animated project. We launched the new podcast, the mental health podcast. So we've got 2 podcasts going on. We're into talent representation now. We have 1 client. We're looking into gaining more clients for the talent representation. We're doing consultations. So we're now consulting on how you can launch your own podcast if you always wanted to do it and had no clue how. We've made all the mistakes for you. So now we're consulting on how to do it so that you don't have to do those. And who knows what else we're going to be like, you know, it's the sky is the limit now with Crazy Ant Media. And I truly believe that between you and I, and between the people that we bring in, now Delana, and finding the people that we've been fortunate enough to bring into our little circle, we can do anything. We can. Bigger than the mouse is not just a moniker. It is a belief. It is a thing that we know we will accomplish because we are able to do anything. And that, I just, you know, it's amazing. It's amazing.
It is, yeah. I mean, the journey is not over. It's honestly just getting started.
Hell yeah.
It's always a fine line because, you know, I felt like at the very beginning we were very linear. You know, we just thought very linear. But going back to superhero movies, everybody knows we love superhero movies. But this journey is it's a multiverse, and you need to be able to go out and just expect the unexpected.
Yes.
Because at first we were very locked into what it should be, but it's like, no, you can't do that, because then you'll be able to miss out on so many different things. And like, you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable, like we always say. But it's been an amazing ride, an amazing journey, and yeah, it's nowhere near being finished. So I'm really excited.
It's like we talked about. It's that kid-like enthusiasm. Kids don't just play with one thing. They'll grab a toy and play for it for half a second, and then they go grab the next toy, or then they'll go want a snack, and then they'll come back and scribble on the wall. And it's like, that is literally being a filmmaker and being a creative. It's like, you can play here, and then you're going to play here, and then you're going to play here. And if you just do this, you miss it all. You got to be that wild, enthusiastic kid and play, because that's where the best art comes from. And woo!
I know. And I mean, it's leading into a perfect thing where we get to play on this podcast.
Oh, hell yeah.
And that's our top 5 segment. And this week it's very interesting because it's top 5 shows that people love that we just don't know why.
Yeah.
And we're not fans.
Oh, did we mention we're very opinionated?
Yeah, by the way. I've given all of these shows a shot more than one time, and like, I've finished like either a season or half a season of some of these, and I'm just like, I can't do it anymore. I just can't. So number 5 for me goes to, Netflix's version of their superhero show, right?
Basically, the X-Men. Yeah, their version of the X-Men.
Basically,
and they cast an X-Man.
Yeah, literally. I'm talking about the Umbrella Academy. This one, I don't know, man. I just felt like it had more of a gothic tone, but didn't have the same dark tone as the DC. And I really couldn't get into it. I felt like the characters were just a little bit more bland than I liked. I really couldn't feel any sort of connectability, like with Iron Man being someone who was given everything, but then ruined it all, but then came back, rose from the ashes, kind of like a phoenix type of situation. But like, I didn't see the appeal of the Umbrella Academy. Like I said, I've tried multiple times and people talk about it all the time, but it's just wasn't for me. So yeah, my number 5, Umbrella Academy.
There you go. I feel like we're gonna get a lot of hate on these, but it's okay.
Oh,
it's fine.
For sure.
My number 5, I know I'm gonna take some heat for, and I don't care. Because I still just do not fucking get it. My number 5 is Glee. What the fuck? Why did this thing blow up? This was nothing but a cheap knockoff of Fame. I'm sorry, it's about a high school drama club or a performing arts school, or like, and don't get me wrong, they had some phenomenal talent on that show. The cast members have all gone on to do other things. Hell, Flash was on, Supergirl was on that. Fuck, all of our superheroes that we love were on fucking Glee. Wait a minute, what the fuck? But I just didn't get it. It's just a fucking high school drama club. Or like, they're singing. Okay. Why are we all in on like, this is the greatest thing since bread? Like, what the fuck? It's just, we've done this. I guess if you're as old as I am, you've done it. Because like I said, for me, it was just a cheap knockoff of Fame. Where every week it's about this performing arts, and they sing new songs and put on a big production. And you've got Debbie Allen there with her fucking stick, boom, 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 boom. And, It just, I didn't get it. And maybe people can come back at me and say, well, were you a fan of Fame? Well, what the fuck? How did you get it then and you don't get it now? Fair enough. I don't know, but I have yet to watch a full episode. I'll catch little performances, like I'll be scrolling and they'll have a past show and the performance is on there and I'm like, okay, yeah, they sound good. But I can't sit there for a whole hour being invested in it. I'll watch the fucking song at the end, but I'm not going to get there. I just need to go to the song. I don't give a fuck what happened the first 48 minutes. I just want to watch the performance at the end. That's about basically where I'm at with fucking Glee. Sorry, my number 5, Glee.
There it is. I'm sure number 4 is actually going to surprise a lot of people, especially with being who I am and my fandoms and everything that I hold near and dear to my heart. But for some reason, this one was a little rough. Okay, this one was a little rough, and I'm talking about Andor. I had high expectations for this one, because Rogue One is considered one of the best Star Wars films of all time, and yeah, it was.
Yeah,
I think it's probably it should be a one-off, because in my opinion, the Andor series it was too slow. I think that's the biggest thing. It was just too slow. And I get it. You're going to say, it's exactly like the original Star Wars trilogy with, it being slow, then action, then slow, then action. Like, yeah. But like in television format, I feel like it doesn't do really well. I feel like you can do that in film because, you're invested for that time anyway.
Right.
But when you're doing that in television where there's not a lot of action for 2 or 3 episodes, I don't know, man. It just wasn't it for me. And I'm very surprised by that because I love the cast. I loved, where the story is going because as everybody knows, the Star Wars universe is very intertwined and it's all linked in together. But I just could not get into it. It was just too damn slow. And I was probably like 4 or 5 episodes from finishing the season.
Yeah.
But I couldn't do it. So number 4 for me, Andor.
Listen, I'm right there with you. I think the exact explanation is too slow. And what's funny is, and I'm not trying to knock any of the creators behind it or any of the directors or any of the writers, because when you do what you do, you're talented. And I'm not trying to knock anybody. But there's a way to do it and a way not to. And what I mean by that is if you watch Ahsoka, there are slow moments in Ahsoka where it's just them in the ship talking and they're getting all emotional or anything. And not at any time do you feel like, fuck, this is dragging. This is so boring. And then you get your action with the lightsabers and they're going at it and everything, right? So there's a right way to do that where you're not dragging or feeling it's slow when it's the talking moments or their walking moments or whatever. And then there's the Andor way, which just didn't work. And whether that's a creative decision or whether that's just a story that doesn't translate well or for whatever reason, just some work and some don't. And I think you're exactly right. Andor, just for whatever reason, just didn't work. It was too slow, it drug, and it should have been a one-off. I wholeheartedly agree with you. My number 4. Bring it. I am getting so much hate. From fucking Glee to this one, I know. Just bring it at me. Because this one people are fucking obsessed with. And it makes no sense to me whatsoever. The fucking Bachelor. How has this shit been on the air all these fucking years? One person is still married off that fucking show. One person. They had to bring her back. She was on the last episode with the Golden Bachelor, kind of giving him some advice. Because, like, can we fucking make it work? Like, between the Bachelor and the Bachelorette and Bachelor wherever the fucking Party Island, whatever the fuck those spinoffs are, or something like that, whatever they are. I don't understand. And by the way, is this the behavior we want? We want a guy to come or a girl to come and fucking make out with or have sex with 30 different people at one time trying to figure out who he wants to marry? Is this the image that we're just shack up with all these different people and find the one that you really like and piss off the other ones and then go, you were the best sex, but I really kind of like her, so I'm going to give her the rose. Like, what are we saying to America and to our kids with this show? And what are we saying about society that we're so fucking obsessed with this show? Like, I don't get it. Boys and girls, this is not how you find your spouse. This is not how you do it. Like, stick with Survivor. That's fun. That's a mental back and forth where you're trying to outwit people. The Bachelor, what the fuck? I don't get it. I'm sorry. This is a legit, I don't get it. And I don't think anybody can explain it to me. Don't try to bring your hate, but don't try to explain it to me because I still will not get it. I'm just telling you that right now. I'm just never going to get this show. No. The Bachelor. My
There it
number
is.
4.
The Bachelor.
And The Bachelorette and Fuckboy Island and
All of them.
anything that's involved with anything like this. I just don't give a shit.
Oh my gosh.
Is it called Fuckboy Island? It's called Fuckboy. Should be called
Yeah.
Fuckboy Island. Whatever the fuck.
Yeah, it's so goofy. Number 3 for both of us goes to Schitt's Creek, which is crazy because it's like really popular and won so many Emmys. But you know, I don't know, just something. I was not a fan. I'm normally, because it's Catherine O'Hara, right?
Yeah.
I'm normally a big fan of Catherine O'Hara
And the Levy guys.
I love the Levies.
Yeah.
But I don't know, something about it. I don't know if it was I felt like it was a very materialistic show, and I'm just not that much of a materialistic person, so I couldn't really relate to a lot of it. So I mean, that was the big thing for me. I felt like
I just didn't think it was funny.
Yeah, like I couldn't get past the pilot.
Yeah,
like,
I
turned
don't
the
think-
pilot off every time.
I don't think it was a bad show. It wasn't badly done. It wasn't bad acting. It wasn't bad writing. I didn't get it. I just didn't find it funny. Like when everybody's cracking up at like, you know, I'm just like, why is that funny to you? I just didn't. I guess that was my biggest critique. It just wasn't funny. We talked about this the other week when I said that Big Bang Theory was like that show. I legitimately laugh out loud every single time I watched it. I got that. I thought it was fucking funny. This one, they're leading you in. I feel like this is a good way to describe. They're leading you into the joke.
Yeah.
Good comedy shouldn't have to lead you into the joke.
No.
You just find it funny. And I felt like every episode that I watched of this show, they were trying to lead me into the joke as this big build-up, and then I just didn't find it funny. I was like, sorry, I love all the people on it. I just did not find the show funny.
Agreed, man. Agreed. Which is crazy because it's super popular. But that's also another tip for filmmakers: trust your audience. You don't have to dumb things down.
Exactly.
Be sure to they're smart. They're smart. Number
This
2
next
for
one,
both of us.
just duck because here comes the hate right now on this one.
Number 2 is The Office. I've talked about my opinions about it a lot. You know, I don't like that format, the interview format, and this specific one, I feel like it's really big into dumb comedy. And you know, I can only take so much of that. So yeah, I've talked about it a lot, but I'm interested to hear your opinions about it.
No, I would agree with you wholeheartedly. There's a place for dumb comedy, but I feel like the place for dumb comedy is a sketch show. This is not a sketch show,
like
not a half-hour weekly show. This is just not where I want to see dumb jokes. And
like they're working at an office that sells paper. Like what?
I just, again, we've seen this. We've seen this over and over and over again. This is just in my opinion, a knockoff of so many other shows. And it just didn't work. For me, it didn't work. And you can take brilliant ones like WKRP in Cincinnati set at the radio station, or Sports Night set at a cable news sports channel, or just numerous things where it's a group setting and in a workspace where this is kind of, and this one just didn't work for me. You know, News Radio I think it was called News Radio with Dave Foley and Phil Hartman and that was funny. There was some stupid humor there, like you said, dumb joke, but that one worked for me. There were just moments where that one worked for me. This one, I never. Is Steve Carell hilarious? Of course he fucking is. Is Krasinski the bomb? Of course he is. Like everything, but I would have loved to have just seen The Office, as like a great skit on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
I feel like that's where it was. The Office is just an extended skit from Saturday Night Live.
Which is hilarious. Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see it. I really could. So, I memean, that leads into our number ones. Number 1 for me goes to...
I was shocked for this one.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I couldn't...
Because you started off strong, right?
I watched the whole first season, and then I got to season 2. And I think I watched a good amount of season 2, and I'm like, I still can't just get into this thing. I just and it was just such a huge phenomenon. I know, yeah, I'm talking about The Boys. I don't know what it is. I can't even tell you what it is. I I don't know. I really don't. I just didn't like it. It's really weird because I normally have an explanation, but I don't. Like, I didn't care to, like, I would put it on, and like I said, I watched a good amount of it, but then there was a certain point in time where I found a new show and I was like, I don't really care about going back to The Boys. So yeah, I mean, I know that's a very big unpopular opinion, and I know people like this darker interpretation of superheroes and how superheroes are bad, but I don't. Yeah, I really can't give you a definitive answer other than I just didn't like it. I just didn't care to go back to it. And I mean, that's all I got. So yeah, my number one, The Boys.
Fair enough. I think it's the idea of trying to get behind the ideology that superheroes are bad guys, that they're only in it for the money. It's like, it just doesn't set right. It's a great show production wise, acting wise, it's written really well. The dialogue is a little bit over the top. I mean, that whole giant freaking orgy episode, or like whatever, super orgy kind of thing. It's a little over the top, but it's well done. It's just, for me, because I just got done telling you at the top of the show that Superman's what made me want to get into it. So for me, it's hard to wrap my brain around they're bad guys just in it for the money. That they're run they're run by a corporation and they really don't care about humanity, and they don't really. I just can't wrap my head around that, and so it makes it difficult for me to watch because I don't want that to be the image of what I think superheroes are to the world, and so I don't know. I'm with you. Like I said, all the props to the production. It's fantastic show production wise. The concept. I can't wrap my head around. I can't.
I know.
My number one is kind of like what we were talking about with our number twos. 30 Rock. I fucking hated it. I hated it. I did not like Alec Baldwin on it. Tina Fey, I love Tina Fey, but I didn't get Tracy Morgan. Again, it's another one of those dumb comedies. Like, there's no smart to it. I just feel like I mean, fuck, Rachel Dratch. It basically was just plugged with fucking Saturday Night Live people. And it's basically like what we were just talking about with The Office. In my opinion, it's a fucking extended Saturday Night Live skit. And it just, it's funny for 30 seconds. It's funny for 45 seconds. But for season after season after season of the same, it didn't work for me. It does not work for me. I don't want a skit to be a show. I want a skit to be a skit. Get beyond that. Like give me something that I can attach to. Brilliance, Frasier. 30 Rock, extended skit. I mean, that's all I'm saying. I don't know. Sometimes, I guess, kind of goes back to the Andor thing. Sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. The workplace thing. Let's go. 30 Rock, set in a workplace. The Office, set in a workplace. Schitt's Creek, basically set in a workplace. Cheers, set in a fucking workplace. Set in a bar. But it fucking worked. You know why it worked? Because they didn't dumb shit down. They weren't stupid, lame goof jokes. It was humor that dealt with real life situations, and sometimes it's just real life is the funniest shit. You're dealing with alcoholics. They're all fucking. Norm is a fucking alcoholic. Let's be real about it. Sam's a washed up baseball player trying to hold on to his fame. I mean, Frasier's a fucking failed psychiatrist that can't get away from his more successful wife until he gets away from her and becomes. It was real life that was funny. And for me, The Office and Schitt's Creek and 30 Rock just was over-exaggerated skits that didn't really focus on real-life funny. And comedy is always best when it pulls from tragedy. There's a reason why those masks are like that. Just saying. And it just, yeah. 30 Rock.
So
NBC's
intertwined.
calling me now. NBC's like, what the
Yeah.
fuck? The Office, 30 Rock, you didn't like shit?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I didn't like your fucking
Yeah.
lineup, bro. Sorry.
It's okay. We love Disney, and you got a few or ABC shows.
That's
on there,
true.
so
I
it's
did.
fine.
I did.
It's fine. But yeah, man, we want to know what shows do you hate that everyone else loves. I mean, it's hilarious.
Bring it.
Yeah, this is gonna be an interesting one.
Oh, without that.
Heading over to the box office recap, by no surprise, Taylor Swift, The Eras Tour, came in at number 1.
That
with
was out?
92.8.
No.
Yeah, that thing. 92.8 million. I will say, I know I made that prediction, but I'm happy it didn't take down Endgame. I'm happy it didn't. The number 2 spot went to The Exorcist Believer with 11 million. Number 3 was Paw Patrol, the Mighty Movie, with 6.9. Number 4 was Saw 10. At 5.7 million, and number 5 was The Creator with 4.3.
Can I just say, congratulations to The Exorcist Believer, because I didn't legitimately think with Taylor Swift out there that there was any film that was going to crack double digits. I didn't think so. For them to make more than 10 million in the same weekend that she opened is impressive. Because remember, they were like, fuck that, let's open early because we're not going against her. And yet still were able to pull off over 10 million against her. So congratulations to them. That just says a lot about, everybody's kind of hammering the movie saying it, well, but it must be okay because if you can pull off 10 million against Taylor Swift, you're doing something. Just saying.
Yeah, exactly. Well, new movies you can still go see, or new movies you can go see now. Killers of the Flower Moon. It's finally out, guys, but be sure to strap in. It's 3.5 hours. 3.5 hours.
Yes.
So be prepared for that one. I'm sure that one's only getting theatrical release for Oscar nominations. That's my opinion.
Without doubt.
I mean, that thing's going to be on Apple so fast. Going back to prediction wise, I don't see it breaking 30. I don't see it breaking 30 million.
No. To which we'll hear Scorsese come out and complain again.
Yeah, he's saying death to the entertainment industry, basically.
Whatever,
and it's like, keep making movies, bro. I'll still watch them, but I get it. And I mean, I guess there's in select theaters near you, there's a musical coming out called Dix. Dix the Musical is coming out, so be sure to check that out wherever you can find it, or not. I don't blame you. Movies you can still go see right now: The Blind, A Haunting in Venice, The Nun 2, The Equalizer 3, and Dumb Money, and of course all the ones that I named above.
I want to shout out one. Well, I want to shout out one that's not in the theaters, but you should definitely check out because it should be in the theaters. And it's a fucking shame it's not, because now these guys won't get Oscar contention nominations. The Burial. Jamie Foxx and Tommy Lee Jones and Journey Smollett are fucking brilliant in this film. They are outstanding performances, all Oscar worthy. And your guy from The Get Down, and the older one. I can never remember his name because it's one of those I'm terrified to pronounce. But Abdul Mateen or something like that. No. But yes, you're along those lines. But you know who I'm talking about. The older one that
was he like the pimp or was he one of the kids?
No, he's one of the kids.
Was it Justice?
No.
Justice Smith?
No. He's also, remember Sorry for Your Loss, the one with Elizabeth Olsen.
Yeah.
Remember that Facebook show with Sorry for Your Loss with the one that starred in it with her. Yeah. God bless her. I'm gonna put that man's name out there. I feel bad I don't know his name, but he gives a phenomenal performance as well. He's right there with the rest of them. But this is a real life story, and it's like just they give. I don't know. I just really think it's unfortunate that this thing went straight to Prime and it's not in the theaters because these people deserve better than that.
You're talking about he was Grandmaster Flash.
Yes,
that's what he was.
Yeah. He's really good.
Mamadou Athie.
Yeah, there you go. See, I always feel like I don't want to butcher that guy's name because he's a phenomenal actor. I
Yeah.
love, dude, when you can be in a room with fucking Tommy Lee Jones and Jamie Foxx and hold your own, when you're
Yeah.
opposite Elizabeth Olsen and slaying with Lizzie, like, I mean, you're fucking good.
Yeah.
And I just feel like he would have for sure gotten, in my opinion, a supporting actor nomination.
Yeah.
And Tommy Lee Jones, just, it might be one of my favorite performances of Tommy Lee Jones.
Wow.
He's a good old boy, old man, just playing it. Like, and
Yeah.
I mean, it's just.
Sounds about right.
It's him and Jamie Foxx had a great dynamic. It's just,
Yeah.
I just, anyway, I wanted to throw that out there because I think it's an unfortunate where we're at right now that some movies belong in theaters, and yet here we are, you're having to find it on a streamer somewhere. So
Literally.
just,
I know. But yeah, I really like Athie. Remember, he was in Archive 81.
Yes, yes.
Where we got to interview Charlie Hudson III, and that guy's been amazing to us. We love Charlie.
Oh, without that.
But yeah, so good, man, so good. Well, heading over to the IMDbPro's top trending segment. The top trending movie is Reptile. The top trending TV show is The Fall of the House of Usher. It's a miniseries, or actually Gen V, actual series. Interesting. And then the top trending star is still Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
That ass still going strong. That's what it is.
Man.
Come on, man. Come on.
That's so funny.
She's so unbelievably talented. I love her.
Yeah.
She's such an amazing actress. Can we move her off the top star list because of her ass? It's fucking ridiculous. And you know that's what it is because that's all you see in the feeds are pictures of her ass. It's like, can we turn her around? I'd rather see her green face with the weird fucking shit. Like, I mean, she's an amazing actress. Like,
I know that's the real question. George Lucas, are those her ears? What is that?
Yeah,
is
what
that
is
hair?
that? I don't know.
I'm really curious.
And same thing with Ahsoka. What is that?
Yeah, is that a part of her head, or is that just like a headdress? I don't know. I don't get it because when she woke up, when she was sleeping, she still had it on. I don't know. I would understand if she's bald. I get it.
No, for sure.
Is it face paint? Because all the tribal stuff on her face changes every once in a while.
Yeah.
So so many questions.
Well, the green, though, because there are other people like her that aren't green. They have those. So I think that's more like extensions, like an octopus, but they don't move. Yeah. That's why I think it's so. If it was some sort of limb, wouldn't it be moving? I don't know. Filoni, call us up, my man. Call us up and say, please give us the skinny on what the fuck it is. That's all we want to know.
Exactly. Oh my goodness. Well, anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to episode 238 of ITCAF Podcast.
Yes.
Oh, it's been an amazing journey. Be sure to follow us, the company, the podcast, everywhere on social media. The company is at Crazy Ant Media. The podcast is at ITCAF Podcast, and our mental health podcast is Everything's OKP. Be sure to follow that one as well, and check out our latest episode of Sober October. We will have another episode dropping, and not next week, but the following week. Super excited about that. And you guys know you can follow us both personally on social media. Myself at JLoFantastic. Why did I do that 2 weeks in a row?
Yes.
Myself at JLoganAustin on all social media platforms, and
at Crazy Ant CEO. I almost forgot mine.
Go. Yeah,
but mine might be changing again soon, though. I don't know.
Yeah.
The fucking algorithms. We're gonna see. We're gonna see. Whatever.
For sure.
Whatever.
For sure. You guys know you can subscribe to this podcast anywhere you listen to your podcast: Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Stitcher, and so much more. For watching this video on YouTube, we appreciate it. Be sure to hit that like button below, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell for all the latest and greatest notifications coming out of Crazy Ant Media. And I think this was a really good episode because we really got to talk about our timeline and our trajectory and, both personally and as a company. And I don't know. It's just always fun to reflect. It was a good one.
Yeah. It's always nice to look back, like I said, and see where you've come from, to know where you're going. And I just felt like it was a good time to do it because I really do feel like I said at the top of the show, there's so much negativity towards the industry right now. I feel like people are only seeing the bad side of it. And unfortunately, there is that sometimes. But so I just felt it was really important to say, hey, look, it's not all like that. And let me tell you why we love it and why it's so good and why people fight for it the way they're fighting for it right now. And I just, every time we can talk about what we do and get emotional about it and just relive the journey, it's like, even the bad stuff. It was fun to just look back and go, hey, it didn't work, but you know what? Look at where we're at, and it's all good. And it's just, even that makes me happy.
Exactly, because we're better for it. The lessons are definitely necessary. You're gonna fall on your face in this industry, and nothing comes easy. Everybody's process is different, so don't compare yourself. That's a big thing.
That's right.
But yeah, man, it's an amazing ride. It's an amazing journey. But everybody knows. I can't even remember when we started doing this. I know it was probably around 10 episodes in, but I mean, we've been doing it for a very, 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 very long time. Everybody knows we love the one, the only
Oprah!